Hey guys, long-awaited version 2 video is finally here. We're going to show you how to go from this weeny little inlet over to this guy right here. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me again. We're here with the Bimmerhaus Performance air intake for the N55 F10, and I'm excited to show you version 2.0. In this version, there's been a lot of changes. I'm not going to go through the whole entire install. However, I will go out on my car and show you a few things that we did to help improve the install time. It's not exactly an easy install. It's fairly straightforward. It's just a little time consuming to get down to the turbo to go all the way to the inlet, but that's very important. Today, this video, I'm going to focus on showing you the differences in this new version. All right, so let's jump right into it. One of the major differences here is the fact that the MAF adapter now has accommodation for your crankcase ventilation, okay? And these are going to be held in with M5 bolts with brass inserts into a nylon reinforced with carbon fiber 3D printed MAF adapter. So let me go over this really quick. First of all, this is oval on one end. That's on purpose. It didn't get damaged or squashed in shipping. This is on purpose, and that's going to fit right into your air intake inlet with this 45 that comes out from behind the grill. And that's going to help with the tight, narrow fit. We got some feedback on that. That's a very tight area. And so this will actually oval up and meet right up with this and slide right in. Okay? So that's one of the first changes. And then from there, we have your MAF adapter, which is a nice tight fit, your crankcase ventilation, and then you are provided a jet tube or vacuum line that will go right over this. And I'll show you guys that in the mock-up on the car here in a moment. The other major change is this nylon reinforced carbon fiber piece for the inlet. All of these carbon fiber pieces have been annealed and brought up to temperature to help reduce any stress fracture and increase the rigidity, but most importantly to increase their temperature resistance. After that, further post-process includes a special coating that is designed for exhaust, so it will take the beating underneath the hood. So with this particular design, I'm able to control the pitch and the angle of the reduction going into the turbo, because this turbo can only go down to 2 1/4. And so I'm able to bring it 3 inches all the way down into the inlet. Previous versions, it went from 3, I had to go down to 2 to get it into the inlet. You have a coupler, you have this aluminum piece. That is not the case anymore. So now I'm able to go from 2 1/4 right up to 3, all the way up to here, and then do a 90 coming up. And you'll have another carbon fiber piece that you'll get in the package that is oval as well that will help clearance, okay? It's a pretty tight fit, but we're trying to get as much air down there as possible. The other key on this too is with this being reduced from 3 to 2 1/4 right there, that will increase air velocity, which helps speed your turbo. All the pieces down below will be wrapped in this temperature tape as well too, so you guys won't get to appreciate the nice pieces, but these will all be wrapped up and ready to go. So with that, let's jump out in the garage and I'll show you some of the new tricks to help install go a little bit quicker. If you haven't checked out my previous video on install, please go watch that on version 1.0. I go through all the different intakes that are on the market, what the differences are, and why this one works. All right, here we are out in the garage, and I'm going to go over all the pieces and the main differences on this version 2.0 install. Again, if you want a full deep dive on the install, I'll put a link in the description for the other video. We already went over this new MAF adapter. I've got my pieces connected, the actual MAF and the crankcase ventilation piece. And again, this is an oval on the 3 inch there. I've got my 45 degree that is going to be coming from underneath the latch into the area here. And I'm actually going to put that on first. It's a nice tight fit. Get that snug in there. And this is one of the major differences. If you guys remember in the first video, before you had to pull this latch, and it's just kind of annoying, to be honest. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to disconnect my fan right here. And I am going to actually feed this in through. Now, if you come down in here, from the first video, remember, we've opened up this area with a heat gun, bent this plastic back a little bit. So now you're going to see from up here, I'm just going to reach in there. I'm reaching in there, and I'm just going to feed this silicone 45 while I pull on this side, and then twist and get this thing pulled right through, and boom, there we go. So if you look down in here, I've got my silicone right in here, and if you come up top right here, you'll see that we have the MAF adapter and the heater hose and everything ready to go. So then you have your 45. You can throw this on here as well and get that situated and connected up. One of the things I wanted to point out, the routing of some of these lines. Here is the heater. This is a dumb switch. Again, it's just anytime the car's on, that's going to be powered. So there's that. And then the jet tube right here. I actually come in between the two AC lines to get on that guy right there. So this is how it should be sitting. Okay. And then on the jet line, remember over here on this side, you're probably going to want to use a heat gun to soften this end up and get that over the nipple. So if you come back down here, one other trick I want to show you is with this heat shield / hood scoop, come down in here. With these bump stops, it can get a little bit difficult to get this in. If you put it sideways like this, you can get it in before you get it in position. And that really helps it fit. And there you go. So again, I'm not going to go too far into this install, just pointing out some of the major differences. All right, last but not least, come over here. As you can see, I've got a catch can. The kit by default, it doesn't come with this end. Again, this end you'd have to salvage off of your heater hose, but that will be sitting right here. As you can see, this will line right up. But if you wanted to, you can easily cut this down and come right over to your catch can. So the way this is positioned, you can really go either way. Because I have pulled the motor, I'm going to be able to go over the install a little bit easier and show you guys close up exactly what we're dealing with. But just to remind you, this is what we're going from to this full-on 3-inch intake. And we've seen 20 horsepower and 40 foot-pounds of torque with no tune. We did a baseline dyno. I'll put a link in the description to that video. The only difference was the intake. So I've got my motor currently pulled right here. I had a ring land issue that I'm dealing with. I am selling my PS2. And this bad boy just showed up today. Here is a Precision Turbo 6466 with a 1.05 AR. And we are actually here at Bimmerhaus Performance gonna be creating some turbo kits for this guy, and very excited about that. So me and my fabricator, we're gonna be working on getting this guy set up. I also have some forged internals that we're putting in this, but that's a whole different video. So don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you want to see this build go shooting for 800 to 900 wheel horsepower. So first of all, on your stock inlet, you're going to have a bolt here and a 10 millimeter nut here, and I believe this is a 10 as well. But with this inlet, I'm just going to get this positioned correctly. You're basically sitting right here, okay? So once you get this out, these inlets, again, they come with gaskets. You've got your flange here to bolt on, and this is important because this is going to clock it correctly, because this is not even. It's actually offset slightly to clear your water pump right down here. So when you get this in, oh, look at the difference of that. I mean, the rubber gasket, the OD of the rubber gasket fits right into that thing. That's how restrictive the stock inlet is. Well, actually, let me take a step back. Let's remove this. This is your turbo to intercooler pipe. Highly recommend getting that upgraded as well. Mine got smashed when I was removing my motor. I'll get that fixed, but this will give you guys a little bit better insight. You might want to consider coming up from below, removing your water pump. You don't necessarily have to disconnect it for anything, but it will help if you're coming from underneath, pulling this pipe as well too. So I'm going to get this put on here, and you're going to see it's a pretty tight fit, so no need for, I'm not personally going to run any clamps on this, so orienting this correctly. Okay, so what you get with this silicone 90 right here, and what was happening previously with some of the previous designs, this is such a tight area because you're going to have your thermostat right here as well, and you can see this is kind of getting smashed and ovaled. Well, that's exactly why the next piece is an oval. So your silicone 90s will form to that. This can kind of be a little bit more challenging to pop on, but it goes right in. So that'll give you clearance from your thermostat, between the thermostat and your this big, I think it's a 21 or 22 millimeter bolt right here. Don't undo that. That's your timing chain tensioner. And as you guys saw in the previous video, you guys will know how to slide this into the grill, and you no longer need to take the latch off, so I'm not going to go through that. But that's going to leave you here, and now you're going to be able to put this 90 on. Your jet line going over to vacuum. Got your MAF extension. Okay, and that'll come around your strut, come around the back side right there. All right. And then your heater for that right there. This will roughly be about like so. Okay. And then obviously you have your, so there you guys go. Pretty easy when it's on a stand. This is honestly kind of a difficult install. The design makes it a lot easier with the different adjustments that we've made on it. However, just getting in here, I'm going to be honest, guys, it's not the best thing in the world. It's not the easiest or the funnest thing in the world to do. So just be aware of that. It is a tight fit. So one thing I would consider, especially if you're going with this, I've got a Turbo Smart dual port blow off valve. Love the sound. Check out my videos if you ever want to hear what it sounds like. This is a great time to do that because you're going to be right in that area. You can pull the water pump, drain the coolant. Draining the coolant is not a big deal. You just have to catch it. That would give you tons of room from underneath. to get up here, pull all this pipe, throw in your charge pipe. It's a great time to do everything. If you're doing a turbo upgrade, this is like a no-brainer. You could do all that stuff together. You would need a blow-off valve with a with an upgraded turbo anyways, and you would want this boost pipe. And if you're going PS2 or anything hybrid or aftermarket, you're going to want an inlet anyways. It is not recommended to run the stock inlet with anything but a stock turbo because it is so restrictive. So just some food for thought there. So that's pretty much it. That's what we're looking at. And this is kind of a different angle, a better view on how this whole thing fits together and where it's at while it's outside the motor. So one thing I want to talk about is water. Let's address that real quick. Get a lot of questions about, oh my gosh, what about water and da-da-da. So here's the thing. Water would have to, first of all, let's talk about how much water is going to actually impact your engine. When we're talking about hydrolock, we're talking about so much water that your motor and the cylinders are basically overtaken by that water. We're talking about a serious volume of water. We're talking about you're dipping the front of your car or your intake into the lake. We're talking about some serious, you don't get hydrolock from driving in the rain, okay? These are high quality filters, and you're not going to have any issues with that. They're not paper filters. They're not going to wetten and sog up and suck a bunch of junk down into your turbo. So let's think about the path the water would have to take. Let's use some logic here, okay? So I get some spray, I get some water. It's coming in here. I'm hitting my turbo. It's got to go through the turbo, which is hot. It's got to go into the intercooler, across the front of my intercooler, up my charge pipe, or up my boost pipe, across my charge pipe, into my intake manifold, okay? Talking, what are your IATs on a good day? You know, when it's hot out, you know, well, let's say it's raining, so it's 90 degrees, whatever. By the time it's in under all that pressure and in that turbulence, and it hits your head and goes into your intake, that water is going to be completely turned into steam. In fact, a couple other things here. Let's look at these two things. One, people intentionally spray water and methanol into their charge pipe for the purposes of cooling. So if no water was the standard, we wouldn't be spraying water into our motor on purpose, right? I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying we're talking about motor failure and hydrolock, right? There's a really good video out there. I'll have to find it again and give a link to it, and it talks about all the advantages of water and methanol and how it vaporizes, expands, helps compression, helps basically steam clean the inside of your motor. There are some advantages to it. I'm not saying that driving in the rain is the same as doing that, but it is the same idea. The other thing is there's a lot of other BMWs out there and other vehicles that run front mount intake, so I would not worry about it. Haven't had any issues. I've been running this for over 2 years, had several other people on it for a long time, and so water is really of no concern at that point. So again, unless you're dipping the front of your car into a lake, don't do that. You're going to be fine. So don't know any other questions or comments or anything that you guys might have questions on. Please feel free to leave comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And check out the original video on this. I go through all the different models of or versions of intakes that are available for this model. I am looking at the F10 to come out here soon. I got a test car for that. I'm looking for an N55 F30. If you're in the Chattanooga or Atlanta, Nashville area, and you can donate your car for a day or two, I'll give you a killer deal on if you want to be a test mule. For the N55, the MAF filter and the inlet, this is all done. So it's essentially me just taking measurements and making sure that I'm plumbing everything correctly to get behind your grill and setting up that heat shield for you. So it shouldn't take that long. I'm also going to get into B58s on the F30. And N20 F10s. If you guys are out there, your 4 cylinders, I'm going to be looking at that as well too. So got some new models coming up. If you think you have some options, unfortunately, I've got an E60 wagon that I own that I'm looking at doing a front mount intake as well. Nothing, obviously it's NA, so I'm not doing anything too crazy, but just to get that look and the sound. Unfortunately, the E90s, there is no passageway to behind the grill, but with the N55 motors, this inlet would still be a huge improvement. And so if I get a test car around here, an E90 N55, I might, in fact, I know one, maybe I could work something out with him and get something going. So if you guys are interested in collaborating or hooking something up, hit me up. Let me know if you guys have ideas and you need help taking it to market or design. I'm also game for that. I'm just here figuring stuff out, trying to make cars faster and cooler. So that's pretty much it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check me out on Instagram. Just hit 1,000 followers. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.